Most people think blood tests are like taking a photograph. Quick, precise, and impossible to get wrong. You walk into a lab, roll up your sleeve, give a little blood, and trust that the numbers printed on that report reflect the absolute truth about your health. But here's a fact that shocks even smart, health-conscious people. A blood test is not a snapshot of your body. It's a reflection of your behavior in the past 24 hours. That means the most advanced lab in the world can only be as accurate as the sample you give them. And that sample, your blood, is influenced by everything you've eaten, drunk, done, or even felt before walking through those doors. In other words, you might be sabotaging your test results without realizing it. Because here's the science. Up to 70% of all medical decisions rely on blood test data. Yet, according to studies published in journals like Clinical Chemistry and Laboratory Medicine, 1 in every 3 blood tests shows altered results due to pre-test mistakes made by patients, not the lab. It's not the technician's fault. It's not the machine's calibration. It's simply the things we do every day that no one ever told us could matter. From that harmless cup of morning coffee to the vitamin pill you took out of habit. From the evening jog you thought was a good idea to skipping water because you were fasting. Each one can tilt your results just enough to confuse your doctor. And that's when things go wrong. You might be told you have high cholesterol when you don't. You might start medication you never needed. Or worse, your doctor could miss an early sign of a real issue because your numbers looked normal when they weren't. So today, we're breaking the silence. Let's uncover the 10 biggest blood test mistakes that even smart, educated adults make. The mistakes that quietly distort your health reports and sometimes your entire treatment plan. If you've ever been puzzled by test results that didn't match how you felt, this could be why. Let's begin with the most common and most overlooked mistake of all.
Mistake number 10. Eating or drinking before a fasting test. Let's be honest, we've all done this one. You wake up early, cranky, and hungry for your fasting test. Your appointment's at 9 a.m., but your stomach is already protesting at 7. So you think, it's just a sip of coffee, that can't hurt, right? Maybe you grab half a banana, chew a piece of gum, or pop a mint just to freshen your breath. Seems innocent, but that tiny act, it can completely throw off your test. When doctors say fasting, they mean no food, no coffee, no gum, no vitamins, only water for at least 8 to 12 hours. Because even a few calories trigger your digestive hormones and enzymes. Here's what happens. Your body starts releasing insulin the moment it detects sugar, even tiny amounts. That changes your blood glucose, cholesterol, and triglycerides readings. Even black coffee, yes, black coffee, can increase cortisol and adrenaline, which raise blood sugar levels. So what looks like high fasting sugar or cholesterol might just be your morning routine, not a medical problem. A 2018 study from the Journal of Clinical Endocrinology showed that even a single espresso before a fasting test increased glucose levels by 8 to 10% in some adults. Now imagine what that means if your doctor's trying to diagnose diabetes or monitor your cholesterol. The fix? Simple. Stop eating or drinking anything but water at least 8 hours before your test. If your appointment's at 9 a.m., your last bite should be before 9 p.m. the previous night. Because one harmless sip could lead to a false diagnosis or medication you didn't need in the first place.
Mistake number 9. Taking your morning medication before the test. Here's another one almost everyone gets wrong, and it can drastically distort your results. Most of us live by routine. You wake up, brush your teeth, take your pills, and head out. But when it comes to blood work, that morning ritual can backfire. See, medications, even the ones that seem harmless, can temporarily shift your blood chemistry. Here's what that looks like. If you take thyroid medication, like levothyroxine, before your test, it can flood your blood with hormones, making it look like your dose is too high when it isn't. Biotin, the vitamin found in hair, skin, and nail supplements, can mess with lab machines and produce false hormone readings, including for thyroid and heart tests. Painkillers or anti-inflammatory drugs can affect liver and kidney enzyme levels, mimicking signs of organ strain. Even vitamin C or iron supplements can skew results if taken right before testing. Doctors have seen patients misdiagnosed simply because they took their regular pills before the test, pills that temporarily change their blood chemistry. So what should you do? Unless your doctor specifically says otherwise, take your regular medication after your blood draw. And most importantly, always tell your doctor or lab technician what you've taken, even vitamins, herbal teas, or supplements. That small note could save you from being misdiagnosed, misprescribed, or sent for unnecessary scans. Because your body isn't a machine. It reacts immediately to everything you put inside it.
Mistake number 8. Working out before the test. Exercise is one of the best things you can do for your health, but doing it the night before or the morning of your blood test? Not such a great idea. Here's why. When you exercise, especially hard, your muscles break down slightly, releasing enzymes and proteins into your blood. That's normal. It's how your body grows stronger. But those same enzymes, like creatine kinase, CK, lactate dehydrogenase, LDH, and AST/ALT are also the ones doctors use to detect muscle injury, heart problems, or liver damage. So if you lift weights or go for a long run before your test, your results can look alarming, even though you're perfectly healthy. A 2020 sports medicine study showed that athletes who exercised within 12 hours of a blood test had elevated liver and kidney markers, sometimes up to 200% higher than normal. Even a short jog or cycling session can temporarily change electrolyte, glucose, and cholesterol levels. And yes, your blood sugar can drop after a workout, making it seem like you have low glucose or insulin issues. So here's the simple rule. If you have a blood test tomorrow, treat today as a light day. No workouts, no yoga, no long walks carrying heavy groceries. Your doctor wants to see your resting numbers, not your post-gym recovery stats. And once the test's done, go ahead, celebrate with that workout.
Mistake number 7, not drinking enough water. Now here's one almost nobody talks about, dehydration. We all focus on what not to drink before a test, but almost no one talks about the fact that you still need water. When you're dehydrated, your blood literally becomes thicker, more concentrated. That means the substances in it, cholesterol, glucose, sodium, and more, appear artificially higher. Imagine pouring a cup of sugar into a half glass of water versus a full glass. Same sugar, different concentration. That's exactly what happens inside your veins. A 2021 study in nutrition and metabolism found that mild dehydration increased cholesterol levels by up to 10% and blood urea, BUN, by nearly 20% in fasting patients. And there's another problem. Thick blood makes it harder for the technician to draw your sample, leading to more pricks or bruising. The solution? Drink water. Plenty of it. If you're fasting, that doesn't mean no water. It means water only, and about 2 full glasses before your test is perfect. You'll not only feel better, but your sample will be cleaner, smoother, and more accurate. Because dehydration doesn't just affect your comfort, it affects your numbers.
Mistake number 6, getting tested at the wrong time of day. This one surprises even seasoned health buffs. The time of day you take your test can completely change your results, not because the lab is inconsistent, but because you are. Your body runs on a circadian rhythm, a 24-hour biological clock that controls hormone release, body temperature, and metabolism. That means many blood levels naturally rise and fall throughout the day. Here's how it plays out. Cortisol, your stress hormone, peaks early in the morning to wake you up, then gradually drops by evening. Iron levels are highest in the morning and drop as the day progresses.
Testosterone, thyroid hormones, and even vitamin D levels vary depending on time and sunlight exposure. Cholesterol and glucose readings also shift slightly depending on whether you've been awake for a few hours or just rolled out of bed. If you get tested at 8 a.m. one time and 4 p.m. the next, your results may not match, not because your health changed, but because your body clock did. That's why most labs recommend taking your test between 7 a.m. and 10 a.m., especially for fasting or hormone-related studies. Consistency is everything. If you're tracking thyroid, cholesterol, or glucose trends, always go at roughly the same time each visit. It's the only way your doctor can compare apples to apples, not morning blood to afternoon blood. Remember, your numbers don't lie, but they do follow a rhythm. And respecting that rhythm can make the difference between an accurate diagnosis and a false alarm.
Mistake number 5. Not staying calm before the test. You might think sitting in the waiting room before your test doesn't matter, but what you feel in those few minutes can actually show up in your blood. When you're anxious, nervous, or even slightly stressed, your body releases a surge of stress hormones, cortisol and adrenaline. These hormones prepare your body for fight or flight, raising your heart rate, tightening your muscles, and pushing glucose into your bloodstream to give you quick energy. So imagine this. You're sitting there worried about the needle, thinking about the results, or maybe rushing because you were late. Your body's already in alert mode. That spike in stress can make your blood sugar and white blood cell count appear higher while lowering your immunity and affecting thyroid and hormone readings. In fact, clinical studies have shown that people who were nervous before their test had cortisol levels up to 50% higher than when they were relaxed. That's not just a small blip, that's enough to make your doctor think something's wrong. The fix? Arrive 10 to 15 minutes early, take deep breaths, and sit quietly. Close your eyes, slow your breathing, and let your body settle. It sounds simple, but calming your nerves can make your blood test results dramatically more reliable. And here's a tip from experienced phlebotomists. If you're nervous about needles, look away during the draw and focus on breathing out slowly. The calmer you are, the more stable your numbers will be.
Mistake number 4. Smoking or vaping before the test. If you're a smoker, here's one you might not realize. Lighting up before your test can completely throw off your results. Nicotine and carbon monoxide in cigarettes and even vape pens cause your blood vessels to constrict and your oxygen levels to drop. This leads to a temporary rise in blood pressure, heart rate, and certain chemicals in your blood, such as epinephrine and carboxyhemoglobin. What's worse, smoking before a cholesterol test can artificially elevate triglyceride levels and lower HDL, the good cholesterol, making your cardiovascular profile look worse than it really is. Even e-cigarettes aren't innocent. Studies show that vaping nicotine within an hour before a blood test can alter readings for glucose, white blood cells, and inflammatory markers. So, what should you do? Avoid smoking or vaping for at least 12 hours before your test, ideally 24. And if you're thinking, just one puff won't matter, remember, even a small nicotine hit can leave a measurable mark in your blood chemistry for hours. Your test should reflect your true health, not the temporary effects of your last cigarette.
Mistake number 3. Drinking alcohol the night before. That glass of wine or bottle of beer might seem harmless, but alcohol can quietly sabotage your blood test results, even if you drank it the night before. Here's why. Alcohol affects your liver, kidneys, and blood sugar regulation. It dehydrates your body, alters electrolyte levels, and interferes with the metabolism of fats and glucose. If you have a fasting test in the morning and drank the previous night, you might see false elevations in triglycerides, liver enzymes, ALT, AST, GGT, and glucose. Alcohol can also temporarily reduce your red blood cell count and hemoglobin levels, making your doctor think you're anemic when you're not. Even just one drink can skew results, depending on your metabolism, hydration, and how late you drank it. The best rule of thumb, avoid alcohol for at least 48 hours before your blood test, especially if it includes liver function, lipid profile, or glucose levels. You'll get a cleaner, more accurate snapshot of your real health, not a hangover-influenced version of it.
Mistake number 2, ignoring your diet in the days before the test. A lot of people think only the last meal before their test matters, but what you eat in the 2 to 3 days leading up to it can change everything. Let's say you've been on a low-fat diet all week, then you indulge in a greasy dinner the night before your cholesterol test. That single meal can spike your triglycerides and LDL levels temporarily. Or, if you cut out all carbs suddenly before a fasting glucose test, your body might react by producing extra glucose and ketones, confusing the results. High salt intake can make your sodium levels look elevated. Too much protein can raise your urea and creatinine levels, making it seem like your kidneys are under stress. And overloading on vitamins, especially fat-soluble ones like A, D, E, and K, can throw off liver readings. Doctors recommend eating a balanced, consistent diet for at least 3 days before your blood test. That means avoid extremes. Don't suddenly go super healthy or super junky. Stick to your usual habits so your test reflects reality, not a short-term change. And one more thing, skip detoxes or special cleanses before a test. They can dehydrate you, drop your electrolytes, and actually make your blood look worse, not better. The goal isn't to pass your blood test, it's to understand your true health so you and your doctor can make real, lasting improvements.
Mistake number 1. Not following the test instructions exactly. This might sound obvious, but it's the #1 reason people get unreliable or repeat blood tests. They simply don't follow the instructions correctly. Every test is different. Some require fasting, others don't. Some require you to stop specific medications or supplements. Others need you to take them as usual. Some are sensitive to time of day, stress, or even posture. For example, a fasting glucose test needs at least 8 to 12 hours without food. A lipid profile should be done after a normal diet, not a crash diet. Certain hormone tests, like cortisol or ACTH, must be done in the early morning. And PSA tests, prostate, shouldn't be done right after cycling or intense exercise. Yet people often ignore or forget these little details and end up with numbers that lead to unnecessary panic or repeat testing. If you're unsure, always call your doctor or lab a day before your test and confirm what's required. Ask questions like, should I fast? Can I take my morning meds? What time is best for this test? These small clarifications can make a huge difference. And once you arrive, let the lab technician know everything you've done, from your last meal to your morning coffee to any medication you took. They can note it down so your doctor interprets your results correctly. Because the goal isn't just to get blood drawn, it's to get meaningful, accurate results that reflect the real you. Your blood test is only as smart as your preparation. At the end of the day, your blood test isn't a perfect mirror. It's a snapshot influenced by dozens of small factors: sleep, stress, hydration, time, and even your breakfast. The lab's machines are precise, but they can't correct for human habits. Think of it this way. If your test results are wrong, your treatment could be wrong too. A false high cholesterol reading might lead to unnecessary medication. A temporary sugar spike might label you as pre-diabetic. A low thyroid result might push your dose too high. But the power to prevent these errors is literally in your hands. By understanding and avoiding these 10 common mistakes, you can ensure your results truly reflect your health, not your habits. So next time you're getting your blood drawn, remember, fast properly. Skip your morning coffee and workout. Stay hydrated. Stay calm. Follow every instruction exactly as given. Because accurate numbers don't just make your doctor's job easier, They protect you from misdiagnosis, unnecessary stress, and wrong treatments. Your blood tells your story. Make sure it's the truthful one.